We're joined now in studio by my colleague Katlego Legodi to talk about that COSATU Congress that took place in Midrand. A very good evening to you, Katlego. So we saw quite a number of contentious issues, but let's just first start with some of the major highlights. I've just mentioned one of them now.
Good evening, Tsepiso, and to our viewers at home. It's been a long 4 days for COSATU delegates from all 9 provinces that just gathered at the Gallagher Convention Center for 4 days, this being the 14th National COSATU Congress. This saw just the delegates gathering in high spirits just to reflect on just the Labour Federation, COSATU, its state, and just the state of labour organizations in South Africa as we speak right now, their relevance in terms of championing the issues of workers. And you can imagine that this coming at a time where the country has really experienced a lot of changes and dynamics where the workers have been in the receiving end. I mean, you can imagine just the COVID-19 pandemic that affected a lot of workers on the ground in terms of some of them losing their lives. They were in the front lines, the nurses and the doctors, they were in the front lines, and just COSATU on day one reflecting as well on some of those issues. Just also mentioning the Section 189 processes that have really been implemented by some of the employers really in terms of just making sure that they manage their staff complement, saying that that has affected COSATU and its members on the ground because some of them had to find themselves out of the employ, and also just taking an opportunity really to reflect on just the tenure of the leadership under this trying times. You can imagine that some factories were closed due to the floods that hit KZN and some parts of the Free State as well, and also just the issue of the July unrest, those 10 days of destruction where a lot of companies were attacked. So COSATU really taking a moment to reflect on all of these issues and how the workers were affected by all of this development and the changes. Also looking at the fact that the economy of the country over time has not done well to protect and cushion the workers on the ground. Hence, most of them are facing retrenchments, companies downscaling. So COSATU had to really take stock in terms of where the Federation is in terms of the workers' issues, just to say that they remain relevant, even though they've seen a loss in terms of a number of their members, unions coming forward to report some losses, and some unions also not being in good standing in terms of their finances with the Federation. And you can imagine that the Federation really depends on the monies that are coming from the affiliates to keep its work going. So they were really taking stock of where they are, presenting also a variety of reports, really one being on the financial report on the finances of the Federation in the past 3 years, the other one being on the socio-economic issues that really have affected the workers, like some of those that I've mentioned now, and also just mentioning the issue of the organizational report and the political report, and how really the Federation has been doing, and touching on that issue of the Tripartite alliance, where workers have really been in the receiving end of just things not going well. And it was
okay. So let's just cut in on that issue, the Tripartite alliance, the relevance of the leadership, and therefore the people who were chosen to lead COSATU. There were some changes. Was it as a result of the inability to deal with some of these contentious issues? We mentioned the booing of Gwede Mantashe. Obviously, this comes amid load shedding, how workers feel about it, because this has meant loss of production, therefore loss of jobs, but also that workers feel that the issues are not being dealt with, and maybe the SABC should stand to contest the elections.
Yeah, that is one of the contentious issues that from early in the morning on Monday when we arrived at the Gallagher Convention Center, already there were signs that workers are really not happy. And you can imagine that there's also that issue at the bargaining council where workers have been looking, public sector workers have been looking to government to try and increase and give them an increment that really would be above inflation. But government just sticking to that 3%. So the workers Congress. We saw last week already Pop Crew taken to the streets of Tshwane, handing in a memorandum to the presidency just to outline the issues that are not right. And the Treasury as well received a memorandum from Pop Crew. So the workers really were going into this conference really disgruntled about a lot of issues. That is where the relevance of the alliance came under the spotlight, where they basically had to discuss whether it was really working for them as the federation to still be in alliance with the ANC, and not taking issue with the SACP because they believe that the SACP is not in government, but they believe that more or less 2024 should see some sort of change in the dynamics in terms of their approach to their relationship with the governing ANC. Today was a day where we saw them rising from early in the morning, the last day, to say that really we can't leave this federation without getting some sort of an indication of where do we stand with the issue of the tripartite alliance, the frictions that have existed, the cracks that are really deepening. Looking at the booing of Gwede and Tashe on Monday, them saying that they're not going to allow the ANC and give the ANC any legitimacy, especially at this Congress.
Okay. Katlego, there was also a very concerning issue that arose, rape allegations being made at the conference. I saw Zingiswa Losi, the president, saying that it can't be swept under the carpet. It has to be dealt with, that an investigation was mounted immediately. What was the outcome of that?
So today we were told that there's still some probing that needs to continue on the ground in terms of those allegations that are coming out. So yesterday, those rape and sexual harassment allegations rocking COSATU's Congress in an unprecedented manner, because you can believe that most of these people, every day as we get there, you'd find them in good spirits, singing, camaraderie, like most of them were just in high spirits to discuss issues that affect workers. But we saw on Wednesday, yesterday, one of the leaders of the gender desk of COSATU standing up to say that before we continue with the business of the day, there's an issue at hand here. And this is an issue of claims of sexual harassment that we're picking up from the media even. And concerning was the fact that no one is coming forward to offer clarity or to just make sense of what is happening here. Instead, the media is the one that is more or less one step ahead of what is happening at the Congress. So we saw the women of COSATU really not taking kind to this. On Monday already, Tepiso, there was an issue to say, a proposal to say there should be a committee at this particular Congress that would look at issues of sexual harassment. So on Wednesday,
just very quickly, what were the claims? Let's clarify that.
So the claims was that this issue happened on Monday. So on Monday was day one of the Congress, and this is where we are told by COSATU confirming today that this person who's a victim of this alleged rape and harassment is not a member of the union. They came to say that their probes, they had a meeting with the general secretaries of the different unions and probing what happened here. They're saying that the perpetrator seems to or appears to be a member of one of the unions at COSATU. They still need to verify that, but the victim in this regard is someone that was from outside of the federation, and this happened, I think it was in the early hours when they were having fun. So this is an allegation that would still need to be probed, but COSATU are not taking kind to the issue of sexual harassment. It featured heavily in their socio-economic report as one of the issues of gender-based violence that need to be attended to.
Thank you very much, Katlego Legodi, my colleague who was covering that Congress that was underway in Midrand.